Welcome to another episode of Erik Wait Whiskey Studies. In this video, going to do a review of the Balcones Lineage Texas Single Malt Whiskey. So if you're not familiar with Balcones, Balcones is located in Waco, Texas, and they are probably getting the best distribution out of all the distilleries in Texas. Texas has been getting a lot of attention over the last few years, and rightly so, because they are producing some absolutely superb whiskeys. Unfortunately, a lot of them are hard to find outside of Texas, and even some of the best whiskeys from Balcones are only available locally. But they are getting more distribution, and Balcones is getting outside of the United States. Balcones is known for not only complex and deep whiskeys, but whiskeys that are really, really powerful. Most of them are produced at cask strength. However, the Lineage, if you're not familiar with Balcones, is a great introduction to the distillery because it is coming at a little bit more approachable ABV. But before I get into this whiskey, let me tell you a little bit about it. The Balcones Lineage Texas Single Malt Whiskey is made from Scottish-grown Simpson's Golden Promise malted barley and High Plains malted barley from Texas. It is aged in refilled oak barrels and virgin charred oak barrels. It is non-chill filtered, has natural color, is bottled at 47% alcohol by volume, and sells for anywhere between $35 and $39. So even though this is not at cask strength, this is a very intense and powerful whiskey because of the climate of Texas. The radical fluctuations in temperature from cold and heat causes the spirit to interact in a lot with the cask. The result is they can age whiskeys in a very short time period and get a lot of extraction out of the cask. But this has to be artfully done because there may be some things which you don't want to pull out of a cask, and there may be some other things that are left behind. So really, it's not that they can age whiskey faster necessarily, because they have to do a lot of mitigation of certain factors in order to get the profile that they want. The result is a whiskey that is very intense and very flavorsome, even if it's only at 47% alcohol by volume. All right, no added color, no filtering, and that is for all whiskeys produced by Balcones. But look at the color on this. It is golden and orange. On the nose, it is really, really powerful. It actually, I would say, smells and tastes a higher ABV than 47%. Because it is so strong in its flavor. It has really extracted a lot out of the cask, but there's also a lot of fruity characteristics that are coming from the fermentation. So what I first get on the nose is a lot of intense orange, citrus, and chocolate character. Reminds me a lot of Tootsie Pops we had when I was a kid. We'd get them in a large bag, or perhaps you might get them at Halloween. And the question always was, how many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop?
Mr. Turtle, how many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop?
I never made it without biting. Ask Mr. Owl, for he is the wisest of us all.
Mr. Owl, how many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop?
A good question. Let's find out. 1, 2, 3, 3.
If there's anything I can't stand, it's a smart owl.
How many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop? The world may never know.
But I also get a lot of vanilla. There's a very distinctive malty character there. Perhaps I get a bit of lemon. There's definitely some floral notes there. And loads of honey. There's a slight herbal character, but it's more like an herbal tea. In fact, it reminds me of an apple cinnamon tea that I enjoy during the wintertime. And sometimes I take a little bit of apple cinnamon tea and put it into a heated apple cider to add a more character to a hot apple cider. And I'm getting a lot of that on the nose. On the palate, wow. It has the wow factor of a higher ABV whiskey because the flavors are so intense. The nose is confirmed. I get that, candied orange citrus character. There's that apple and cinnamon character there. I will love that little bit of that herbal tea character. There's some vanilla baking spices. That chocolate character is there in the center. It has a little bit of tingleness. What is tingleness? It tingles just a little bit, which is, I think, of a combination of the spice character being impacted by the alcohol. Alcohol can intensify spice in a whiskey. The spice character is being extracted from the casks. It doesn't necessarily have a lot of development. It's got the same thing up front, in the middle, and into the finish. It finishes with, an orange citrus, chocolate, apple, a little herbal tea, and loads of cinnamon. So you're getting the same thing all the way through. But all the way through, it's very, very intense and really concentrated. This is a whiskey that would take some ice or some water and do just fine, but I don't necessarily get more out of it when adding water to it. So this is one of the few of Balcones that I can enjoy just straight. I think the whiskey has a high quality price ratio, generally selling for under $40. So while it's not overly complex in terms of its development, it has a lot of intensity and a lot of concentration that is absolutely delicious. It is also sweet upon sweet upon sweet. It's sweet all the way through. So if you're not familiar with Texas whiskey and you want to get an introduction to Balcones, I would say this is a good whiskey to start off with. However, this whiskey is very different than all their other whiskeys. If I were to taste this blind and not having had it before, I would be surprised to be told that this is from Balcones. Now, if you're familiar with, say, Glenmorangie or Auchentoshan or the Aaron 10, in terms of the orange citrus character, it's similar to those, but intensified. And that is all due to the Texas climate. Alrighty, what would I give in terms of a score? I'm going to go a solid 88 points. A solid 88 points. What would I want to get it over 90 points? More diversity in terms of its development, and perhaps not just sweet upon sweet upon sweet, but if you like your whiskeys 100% sweet, hey, that's for you. This is going to be for you. I like the baking spice character on the back end. So I do get a little bit of more counterbalance between the sweetness and the spiciness, which is nice, but I would want a little bit more depth and more complexity through the development to get me over 90 points. But for under $40, this is an absolute steal, and a little bit goes a long way. All right, if you like watching my videos, but you've not yet subscribed, and ask that you subscribe and ring the bell to be notified when I go live or post a new video. And if you're one of my Patreon supporters, I want to thank you very much. And until next time, cheers. Hey, don't forget to subscribe and check out these other whiskey videos. You'll be my